The next Lee and Ian podcast is approaching the station. Please step aside.
And welcome to the Lee and Ian Show. I'm Lee Navlin.
And I'm Ian Grodman.
The Lee and Ian Show is sponsored by Grodman Law and Mediation. Remember, when it comes to divorce, family first. Mediation, it's the way to go. Grodman Law and Mediation. Ian, that's you.
That's me. Thank you, Lee. I
Grodman Law
appreciate
Mediation.
that. Yes, I'm a very important sponsor of this podcast.
That's right. Well, thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, God forbid I should have to pay for it. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You do.
But Ian, a very interesting thing was said about us just recently on social media. I just wanted to share it with you. It comes from the former Board of Ed member, Madhu Pai. Now, Madhu Pai, you know Madhu.
I know Madhu, yes.
Madhu Pai, she's a legendary Board of Ed member, former Board of Ed member.
Every former Board of Ed member in Maplewood and South Orange is legendary. Every single one of them.
But she says she's the most legendary.
Okay.
But so this is what Madhu Pai said. She was talking about our podcast, and she said, I have a great deal of respect for both Lee and Ian. They are so funny and so nice. And Ian has, by the way, a beautiful speaking voice.
Really? I hate my voice. So that's interesting to hear that.
She said you have a beautiful...
Thank you, Madhu.
Yeah, so she, by the way, she didn't say a word about my voice. Nothing. I mean...
She said how nice and funny you were.
Yeah,
we all know how funny you are.
She said we were both funny. She didn't say anything about my voice.
Okay,
she doesn't your voice. So I don't know what that... I think she was cutting me down a little bit. That's what I think it was.
Oh, no,
yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm friends with her for many years.
Madhu, we appreciate the kind words. No matter who they were directed to and what they were, we appreciate them.
And talking about Madhu Pai, by the way, she has endorsed 3 candidates for this year's Board of Ed elections happening this November. And they are with us right now, Ian. So please welcome to our show Daniel Caplan, Ashley Ludovicy-Donahue, and Ashwat Rishi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, did I get the names pronounced correctly? That's the first thing, because I flub names. I'm legendary for it. I used to call him Ian for many years, and it's Ian.
People call me Ira all the time, too.
Right. So anyway, seriously, guys, welcome to the show. We really do appreciate it. First question, let's just throw it right out there. Madhu was a little upset after she told us how great we were. It was a but. It was a but. And
it was a great but.
Yeah. It was a but. And I'm going to throw this out to the three of you. Regarding your opponents who were on our show a couple of weeks ago, talking turf, what they basically said to us is they will not undo the current vote that has approved turf for.
That's correct.
Was it Reiserfield? Reiserfield, right? Ritzerfield. There we go. See what I mean?
Mispronouncing. You haven't been out of the district that long.
That's right. Ritzerfield. So she has. That's right. I haven't. So she said what she wishes we had asked. To them was, well, if there isn't a vote coming up next year, if there's a new vote, would you vote for turf? So I kind of said, well, wait a second, the vote's already been approved. I'm confused. What do you mean if there's a vote again? So maybe you guys explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because I probably am. What is going on? Where do you guys stand? And where might they have fallen a little short in what they're saying they want to do?
Sure. So yeah, as I think people in the community are aware, the turf vote was passed by the Board of Education. It was supposed to go to the Board of School Estimate in August, but due to some complications with the submission of the updated long-range facilities plan not being done in time, the Board of School Estimate vote was canceled because due to the increase in scope of the turf, they needed approval from the New Jersey Department of Education. So that means that there will likely have to be another vote by the Board of Education once all of the approvals are gained and the final proposal is brought back again. So yes, the other side said they will not undo the previous vote, but there will be another vote, whether it's, if we're elected after we get into office or before, but there will be another vote. And so to be clear, if there is another vote, we will vote yes, because for 6 years, various boards of ed, 3 different boards of ed have voted to turf Ritzer Field. We've had 6 years of athletes being denied the opportunity to play on that field, and we have to deliver something tangible to these students. It's inequitable right now that our girls' softball teams, soccer teams are playing, or either can't get playing time or are playing on a field that everyone has said is dangerous because it's not maintained. So we just have to get it done, and we have committed that, yes, we will vote to get the turf done.
Okay. All right. So Ian, a board of school, the Board of School. Is it Board of School Estimates?
It's the Board of School Estimates.
What is that exactly? That's
So in Maplewood and South Orange, because we have a joint school district, I should let these guys provide the answer, but having some experience with this, because we have a joint school district, the Board of School Estimate is made up of members of the Board of Education and the governing bodies of each town. Once the budget is put forward each year, the Board of School Estimate meets to review the budget and either pass or not pass the budget. So it's the Board of School Estimate that's voting on the budget each year. I believe at this point that the turf field is now part of the budget. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So clarifies it for me a little bit. So hopefully everybody who was dissatisfied with how we approached it last time is satisfied with it now. Now,
there's always going to be somebody complaining, Lee. You know that.
Well, about me. They love your beautiful speaking voice. But
My
Lee, he's got a lousy speaking voice. He doesn't ask the right questions. He's not fun at all. But so let me ask you guys about, how did you guys meet? Now, I know Anthony Masaki, I guess, basically was who he endorsed you. He's very involved in Board of Ed. He used to be on the Board of Ed himself. I know he was behind Bennett, Capadia, and Deidre Brown last year. So he's batting 1,000, and now he plans to continue batting 1,000 with you guys. But how did you meet? How did you get Anthony, for instance, to back you up, and Madhu Pai?
And tell us about your backgrounds too, right? It's an opportunity for people to hear, what your background is, what your day jobs are, why you want to run for Board of Ed, all of that as well.
Yeah. So, Ashley, you want to?
I can start.
Okay.
So I am a Department of Defense attorney. I work in labor and employment law. So that means I work on harassment cases, discrimination cases, union negotiations and bargaining. And I've been with the Department of Defense since 2011. I've been there for a while.
Okay.
So Ashley, I just have to ask. I'm sorry,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes, sir.
I'm the chair of the local Democratic Party.
Yes.
Do you still call it the Defense Department, or you do call
Department
it the War
of War.
Department?
It is the Department of War, yes.
What's like the morale like in the department with some of the changes that we've seen over the last
It's been
week or two?
interesting. It's been interesting.
Okay, all right. I don't want to jeopardize your job, but I'm just really curious about
Right.
that. Maybe we can off air talk about it a little bit more.
Off air,
Yeah,
I will chew your ear off. But
Okay.
yes, it's definitely been interesting. I will tell you that much.
So that's 2011.
Yes.
So how does one get a job like that, by the way? If I was interested in becoming a
Please
lawyer for the
let
Department
me,
of...
if you have all the time in the world, I'll talk to you all about this. No, so I met my husband in law school. We actually, it was a fast and furious relationship. We met in April, got engaged in August.
Wow.
In the meantime, we took the Massachusetts bar together. Yeah. We luckily both passed, and then we got married in January and moved with the Army in February. So
Both of you were?
both of us.
Wow.
I was not in the Army. No, he was active duty, and I followed him. But so that, of course, I was unemployed. I was underemployed for many, many years. And then as an attorney, Ashwat knows that you can't just walk into a firm and say, hey, give me a job. Like, I would like to work here. You have to take the bar exam. And so we were going to be moving every 2 to 3 years. And the Department of Defense at that time, it's one of the federal agencies that you can work at that you don't need to have a bar exam from that state that you're
that's
in.
good.
okay.
So with my Massachusetts bar license, I went into the Department of Defense. I worked in multiple different positions, different types of jobs, but I was underemployed and unemployed for about a year before I got my first attorney job. And I've worked my way up since then.
So 2011, Obama was president, correct? Am I
Correct.
right there? Yep. Okay. So
Correct.
So you've been through a few different administrations. You've been at this, that. So,
Yes.
A couple of different names of the department, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. Fascinating. So now Dan, I know. By the way, I know Dan.
Wait, was Ashley finished?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
I was
You might
not
want to
finished.
sure. Yes, yes.
It's okay.
Ian went like that.
might.
So,
No, I did not. Ashley might want to tell us why she wants to run for the school board.
Yeah, that's good. Good
Yes.
point. Good
So
point. Yes.
I am involved in our local PTA. Our kids go to Clinton. So the Clinton PTA. I am in the community events space. I'm the community events chair. So I ran SOMA Swish last year, which was the big all elementary event that we had. It was a fundraising community event. I'm doing it again this year. And I just...
Thank you.
Oh, of course. If you guys like basketball, it's the best
I
event to
love
be at
basketball.
out of the year.
Yes.
Well, then I also went to UConn, so I...
Okay, so there you go. So you know college basketball.
Love basketball.
Yes.
But But so running a lot of events with the schools and just getting very involved with it. And I just enjoy the school system so much that I was asked if I would run for the Board of Ed. I personally thought I was going to wait until my kids were older. I have 3 children.
Yeah.
And I was going to wait until the baby, who's 3.5, was older, but the time presented
It's never
itself.
a good time,
No.
right? That
No.
you can always find a reason not to run. So good for you.
Exactly.
Yep.
And if the school board doesn't do as you want, you know people, right? In Washington that could, right? Yeah, no.
Of course, of course.
I'm joking. That's a fascinating background, Ian. Now,
It is.
You know, Ian's a lawyer as well. So where did you go to law school?
I went to Rutgers.
Rutgers,
That's
and-
how I ended up living in New
and you-
Jersey.
and
I
where'd
went
you
to
go to law
Rutgers
school?
Law School.
New England School of Law, Boston.
Okay, yeah. So are they rivals? I don't know if.
And I think Ashwat's an attorney as well, right?
I am, yes, sadly.
Okay. So,
Sadly, yeah. Most of us who are attorneys say that we are sadly attorneys.
I wish,
So-
I wish my mother would listen to this podcast because she's like, you should have become an attorney. Yeah, I told you to go to law school or medical school. Still doing that. You know, I'm like 58 years old, although she talks about it. It's not too late for medical school.
You can still go.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't. Yeah. So Dan,
When I was at Rutgers
I
Law
want-
School,
yeah,
there was a
yeah,
woman who started law school when she was 72 years old. She was one of the most amazing people that I ever met.
well, that's a little crazy. So okay, so why don't we go to Ashwat? Okay. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes.
Okay. But by the way, you guys, it's all you could have this. I think you guys should call yourselves maybe a Dan and Ash squared, perhaps, right? that might work a little bit. That's all. That's Ian, you could license that to them. Ian. Yeah, he does that. So, how did you get involved? How did you meet these guys?
is the intellectual property attorney, so he can
Okay, so all right, so he's already signed. He's already taken it away from me. He knows how to do
I'm
that.
preparing my invoice for my hourly bill.
That's right. Dan and Ash squared. Yes.
Yeah. So how did I get involved? So I'm going to go back a bit further in my life than Ashley did. So I came to this country when I was 15, and I went to high school here. I was a reduced lunch kid. And I had the great fortune of having some excellent high school teachers, teachers who saw my potential and gave me opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise received. I didn't have money after high school to go to undergrad, took some time off, finally, eventually put myself through undergrad, went to law school on a full scholarship. And I kind of realized that there were a lot of opportunities that came my way, and then a number of opportunities that I didn't receive. So, I always wanted to sort of use my unique experience and perspective to help kids who were similarly situated as I was when I first came to this country. So during law school, I spent my weekends mentoring first-generation college students. I continued that work when I was a young lawyer. I ran the New York City Marathon, not the half marathon, many years ago for the same organization to raise some funds. And now that I have been practicing for some time, I now have a significant pro bono practice where I represent undocumented students in New York City in immigration court and family court in their efforts to stay in this country and have some of the same opportunities that I've been very fortunate to have in my career. And so as, now I have 2 kids. I've been in Maplewood for a number of years. I have 2 kids who are in the district, both go to Seth Boyden. And as I think about, my life and things that have allowed me to succeed in the way I have, I think the one factor has been access to opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so when I think about my kids and what I could give to them, I think about, providing them access to that same opportunity. So that's sort of been the undercurrent. And then more recently, earlier this year, I was one of the 30 people who were invited to join the Budget Advisory Committee, which is a new program that the district started, and I can touch on that if
Yeah,
folks
sure.
want. So the Budget Advisory Committee was a program set up earlier this year. 120 people in the community applied. Ashley and I were 2 of the 30 who were invited to join, and that was set up for 2 reasons. One was to increase transparency and communication between the district and the community, particularly as it relates to the budget process. And then number 2, to act in an advisory capacity to provide input to the district as it comes up with a budget. And that process was very eye-opening for me. It's a $180 million district. That's quite a large sum of money. And it was eye-opening to see, the shortcomings, in particular, that the district is $10.5 million short, essentially, in the budget, right? That's a huge number. And what that means is cuts that are going to impact our students directly, right? And so given my personal arc, my professional arc, and my recent experience with the Budget Advisory Committee, it really galvanized me to run this year.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so by the way, immigration work, thank you for that. Ian's an immigration attorney as well. We've actually had a podcast specific to
We've had a lot of discussions about immigration on the podcast.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Very important work.
Can I ask, when you came to this country, where did you go to high school? Because you said you had some great opportunities. Just curious where that was.
I went to Highland Park High School, which is a very small district, 15,000
right by
people.
Rutgers.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So Dan, the reason I was excited to ask you this question is because Ian, as knows, I had written a book, and I was working from home on my job, and my wife was working from home because of the pandemic, and we were about ready to kill each other, and I said, one of us got to get a job, got to get out of the house. So I don't know how it somehow or another, I knew someone. Next thing you know, I didn't even a paraprofessional at Marshall School, okay, for a year. And first I was going to be substitute, and then they said, you want the job for the year? I'm like, sure, I'll do it. So there was a little second grader in the class, Ian. Her name was Rose, and she was a brilliant little kid, very full of opinions, and she seemed to be the only kid in the class that knew that I didn't know what I was doing. Act like you've been there before. So through Rose, I met her parents, and that includes Dan. Dan Caplan is her dad, and so. If you're not interested in this job, I think Rose would be very good at it too, Dan. So, but
she's been a great advocate for the campaign already.
I'm sure. Just let her go.
How old is she now?
So she's fourth grade now, 9.5. Eagerly telling us that she's going to be double digits in just a few months.
Okay. She'd probably give you the right to the minute. Yeah. You're right. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's how I first met Mr. Navlin.
Yes.
As I knew him at that
Navlin,
point.
that's
Very
right.
honorific. It's actually a great segue into part of why I ended up running, and I'm in this seat right here. So that class was an inclusion classroom. My daughter has a 504, but she was there as a gen ed student. But it was the first time that I was able to see what an inclusion classroom looked like, where there was a dedicated special education teacher there all day long, and multiple paraprofessionals that were part of the classroom. And seeing how well the kids thrived in that class because of all the support that they had. And, the paraprofessionals, they may be assigned to one student, or they might be shared between a couple students, but there are other adults in the classroom. And so any other kid is going to look and, talk to them and see if they need help or something. It helps the classroom run more smoothly. And so that was my first introduction to, special services, aside from getting the initial 504 for Rose. So I have a younger son named Teddy, who's a second grader this year. Before last year, he was in a private school. So pre-K, kindergarten, he was at a private school in South Orange. He's been diagnosed as twice exceptional.
Okay.
So he's academically gifted and has ADHD.
Yep.
And so those who know, with ADHD, typically, kids are like 3 years behind in their social emotional maturity compared to where they are academically. With twice exceptional, that gap is even wider. So it can be much more of a challenge at times, when you have a child like that to meet all their needs. So, we wanted to put Teddy in the district because when we moved here, we did not move here to send our kids to private school. So, we decided to put him in the district. He got an IEP, and so he went into first grade in an inclusion classroom last year and just had such a great year. And then in February, there was a town hall held by the district about special services. And given the budget environment, they started talking, they said it was a town hall, but it was more like, here's this plan we have for special services. What do you think about it? One of the big things in there was proposing removing the full special ed teacher, during the day in one classroom, so that the special ed teacher would move between classrooms and, would work with the gen ed teachers to give the support that these kids who have IEPs need. And that, they would be there during ELA and math, and then they'd move to a different class for ELA and math, But what the biggest problem I had with it, aside from there just not being any data to support why it would work for our district, was that the kids who have IEPs, it's not just academic needs. There's a lot of behavioral, social, emotional needs in there. And those don't go away when ELA and math are over. So when you're trying to teach science or social studies or writing or any of that, and now where you previously had 2 teachers in a class with up to 8 students who are classified as special services, now suddenly your gen ed teacher has to have the professional development to be able to manage all of those needs and also teach that class by themselves. And to me, it was just like, this is just going to put so much stress on the teacher, which then is going to put stress on the kids, and no one is going to be able to learn as well as they can. So after that town hall, I went to the next Board of Ed meeting, and I had a whole speech written out. And then Mr. Bing announced that the state had given us like an extra $600,000, so no changes were going to be made for the next year. So about half of my speech was ruined before I even got a chance to say it, but I went there to say it anyway. But that was kind of the tipping point for me where I thought, because last year I got involved in the campaign with Brown, Bennett, and Capadia.
Right.
I had a broken collarbone and had nothing to do, so I could at least talk to people about Board of Ed stuff, and I got really interested in what they were standing for, because it was a lot of the same things I stand for. And so, between talking with some of the people in the campaign last year and staying in contact and then the town hall, I reached my tipping point and I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna do this. And, I met with a bunch of Board of Ed members. I asked them, how do they do this with a full-time job? Some of them do. And I said, okay, I'm in.
Awesome.
And then that's when, Anthony Mazzocchi kind of wrangled the 3 of us together into a slate. And so, we did not know each other before
right.
July.
Yeah.
So we met a couple times.
So Anthony's like the matchmaker a little bit. Like,
A little bit, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was also, once we met, we realized that there were the reasons why we wanted to run all were the same across the 3 of us, and we resonated on many levels. Number one, each of us has young kids in the district. Between the 3 of us, we have 7 kids in the district, all in the elementary school. So all 3 of us have a very long horizon in the district. We are here for at least the next 10 years. And number 2, each of us are running because we want to make sure that the district is the best that it can be for all students in the district for the long term.
Yep. Now, thank you for that. And again, I've said this before, Ian. Anyone who runs for office, I think, local law, school board or government or whatever it is, I have the utmost respect for you because you're saying I want to make a difference. I want my community to be better, and so sometimes I think we get lost in that because I'm with this team, I'm with that. But there are 6 candidates running for 3 seats right now, and
we appreciate everybody.
Right,
who's
we
running.
really do.
I think you really step up.
Yeah.
You make so many personal sacrifices to run for office, to serve in any of these offices, and anybody who's willing to do that deserves to be commended.
Yeah, and Dan, I just know from Marshall, whenever there was where we needed parents, Dan and Samara, your wife, were there. You were often in the lunchroom just tying the kids' shoelaces as a volunteer. Mr. Nama, can you tie the shoelaces? I'd say, I'd see Dan. I'd be, well, go ask Mr. Caplan.
Kids tell a lot of fun stories when you're in the lunchroom there, especially the kindergartners.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I still have the ringing in the ear. Like at lunch, sitting in a lunchroom with first and second graders. But you and your wife are very much involved in the community and with your schools, and I'm sure that's a big reason why you're doing this because it's just kind of in you. Did you guys read today? Bing, Superintendent Bing, I guess with the busing. Did you take a look at that today? He's kind of saying we got a big problem with the busing, getting the kids to school. It was an article today I actually just read, and he's basically saying we got to really look at 26, 27 and get this thing right. Buses have been sold, I guess, outsourced, and he's thinking maybe we need to. Ashley, talk a little bit about that, maybe.
Yes, so it's been a problem since the beginning of the school year. And I mean, Daniel can talk to the fact that I think you said your child did not go to school on time until October of last year?
Until Halloween.
Wow. Yeah. So it has been a problem.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we walk our children to school. We are 2 blocks away from Clinton. Great. But we have heard about the disruption that it causes when the buses are coming in late or not at all, and the kids are coming into the classroom 30, 40, an hour into teaching time. Yeah. So, yes, it is a big problem.
Yeah, and what's the what would you guys recommend? Have you had a chance to think about that? You know, if you're on the board, what are you going to say? You know, to the community, what are you going to say to the superintendent? Here's how we're fixing this mess. Here's what I want to do. I mean, any thoughts on that? I know this thing just kind of was thrown at us today, but you know, I think it might be a good chance to.
You know, I'll start with an anecdote. I mean, Dan has kids who take the bus. I have kids who take the bus. This year, my kids go to Seth Boyden, as I mentioned. This year, busing for us has not been a problem, and it is such a reduction in our stress levels. Last year, you know, just for comparison and context, last year, the first few days, I waited on the sidewalk on a lawn chair with my laptop for hours, no joke, hours, and ultimately ended up picking up my daughter from a parking lot in South Orange only because my daughter remembered my wife's cell phone number and the bus driver gave my wife a call. That was the only reason why we figured out where to pick her up.
Yeah.
As I'm, you know, racing down the street trying to figure out on Google Maps where I need to go to pick her up.
Right, and you're a little scared too at that point.
That's right.
Nervous. Your heart's
Absolutely.
going. Yeah.
But I don't think that's a unique story. And what that really, you know, if you look under the sea level to the bigger iceberg, what that really means is that kids, you know, are spending hours on the bus to get to school, hours after school to get home, only to get home just in time for dinner, and then to repeat the same thing. So not only are they missing out on school, but they're also exhausted, as well as dealing with, you know, any additional stress that causes them about the next couple of days getting to school. I'll pause there to see if Dan.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you know, we've been out knocking doors in the community for the past few weeks, and without a doubt, the top thing that we hear from people over and over again is what is going on with the busing.
Yeah.
You know, we're in year 5 of the III right now, which means there are a lot of families that are getting bused in the community at the elementary level. A lot of families, and this is year 5 for me. My child has always had a bus. I live right by Maplewood Middle School, and my kids go to Marshall. So we've always had a bus because we've been over 2 miles. So we haven't had to fight for a bus, thankfully. But, you know, it's right now the way that, you know, students were placed over the first 4 years of the III, it resulted in a number of isolated placements in, you know, this random assignment of kids across our community, depending on the schools. And now that, you know, we're in year 5 of this, the buses, there are a ton of buses where we don't have control of the routes, where we don't own the buses anymore, as you said, because we sold them off a few years ago. And so we're at the mercy of a vendor and, you know, saying, well, this is what we think the route is. And you know, at the last Board of Ed meeting, we had a number of parents, you know, we heard a number of parents come up at public speaks and say things like, you know, the routing company gave the bus driver a 60-minute route and said it has to be done in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And that kids, I think this was Clinton specifically, kids had to leave before the final bell to get on their bus so that they could complete the route in time so that they could make it to the second school that they had to do pickup at, because we don't have enough buses, so we have to tier the buses between the early start schools and the late start schools. And, you know, I'll tell you, people are really frustrated. And it's the kind of thing that, you know, when the III was put in place, I think, you know, the entire community was very much in favor of this. And yet, you know, the actual lived experience that Ashwat and I, along with all of these other people we've talked to, have dealt with has been one of real frustration. And I commend Mr. Bing. He is doing everything he can to fix this. I've talked to parents who have his cell phone number and are texting with him on a daily basis. He's been riding the buses. He's been splitting buses. He is working as hard as he can to fix this thing. But ultimately, this is something that is going to be very hard to truly fix properly because of the way that students have been assigned through the integration program. And so I think we have a few ideas of how we can fix that. And it starts with smarter placement of students, doing things like micro-neighborhoods, clustering multiple families on a street, instead of pulling from, you know, 4 students from different areas in the same socioeconomic tier. If you put four families on one street together, now instead of 4 bus stops, you've got 1 bus stop going to the same place. So that means you've got fewer buses needed, which has less impact on the budget, and we start to reduce our deficit. Now, this is not going to be an immediate fix because, again, you have 4 years of the initial placements plus younger siblings that'll get pulled in as well. But this year, when the kindergartners were assigned, they did weight by proximity for the first time. with an attempt to get as many families to their first or second closest school as they could. So a few more years of doing that and clustering families together, we can actually reduce the amount of buses that we need to do and have routes that are manageable, even if we aren't able to buy new buses or bring things back. But the article that you referenced, I think, Mr. Bing had said that they are looking to bring the routing back in-house, which I think is a great thing. I was shocked to hear that we didn't have control of the routing.
Yeah.
So if we're able to do that, I think that will really help a lot.
I mean, talking about routing, Dan and I spoke to or heard from a family last Friday where they have 2 kids in the district, both go to the same school, yet get picked up by different buses.
Wow. Yeah.
It's
right. So how would if you brought back in-house routing, what would that be, like a board of ed with a parent follow? Who would do something like that? How would that? Yeah, who would oversee something like that?
We have the transportation department in the district.
Okay,
would handle that.
All right, so I'll tell you what. We'll take a short break. When we get back, let's talk about the III, which is Intentional Integration Initiative. As you said, it's in year 5, and it's
and the budget, right? Because you guys have budget expertise. We are facing potentially a budget cliff. Another similar school district to ours had a very horrific situation this week with a major shortfall. Maybe that's something that we need to talk about too.
All right, sounds good, right, guys? All right, so we'll take a short break. The Lee and Ian Show podcast. We'll be back in just a flash.
See you soon.
We have a very tight budget. To do what she's asking, we'd have to raise taxes.
Way too high as they are now. Taxes, man.
It's your children's future.
Children are important. Yes.
It'll cost you.
Yeah. Taxes. Right. It's going to raise taxes.
Come on.
All right, that's a good point. Yes. The taxes. The finger thing means the taxes.
And the Lee and Ian Show is back.
We're back.
We're back on the air, Ian. So what did you do during your break? Did you do anything interesting?
I had a really boring break. I got to learn a little bit more about these guys, which that's always good. But, I didn't do anything special.
I
actually was thinking about going to Hawaii during the break, but I didn't make it.
I got sent to the principal's office, actually.
But
for talking back. That's right. But anyway, so we are back here with the 3 Board of Ed members. There are 6 running.
Candidates.
We have 3 of them. Candidates.
Don't put the cart before the horse.
Right.
Yes.
I'm a very confident person.
Okay, good.
But anyway, again, Daniel Kaplan, Ashley Ludovicy-Donahue, and Ashwat Rishi. Right? Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay,
Good, Lee.
so-
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm working at it. But Ian, you mentioned budget.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a budget guy.
No, I am not a budget guy at all.
Well, you're good
Money
at
and I do
budgeting.
not get along well.
Well, you bring your own lunch. I mean, you know how to save
my
money.
own lunch. But you guys have talked a little bit about the budget. You talked about 2 of you being on the budget advisory committee. I think there's some certain issues that have come up in neighboring districts over the course of the last week that kind of go to Ashwat's mentioning before about a $10 million shortfall, right? And we saw this past week, that Montclair right now in this budget year is $20 million short to get through the rest of the year. It's a very bad situation for the town overall. There's talk of a state involvement in the district. So I think, to your point, Ashwat, about our looking at a $10 million shortfall, let's hear a little bit about what you guys think can be done to make sure that we don't face a situation that similar to what Montclair is facing right now.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I can jump in first. So, as you noted, the district is a $10.5 million hole, and I think anyone who says that there's an easy solution or an easy fix to this is not giving you a straight answer. Yes. I think, however we look at it, there are going to be hard decisions that need to be made. The way our slate is approaching this issue is that every dollar that the district is short or every dollar that the district needs to find or cut is a dollar less spent in the classroom, whether that's towards academics, athletics, technical programming, arts, you name it. Every dollar that we're short is one less dollar that the students have for opportunities for their success. That said, we touched on transportation, so maybe we'll start there. So the district spends $11 million of transportation right now. Of that, $1.5 million roughly is spent on the preschool program. And if we break that down even more granular, we're spending about $20,000 to transport each pre-K student to school a year versus $4,000, $5,000 for transporting, for example, elementary school students, which is another way of saying that for every 4 kids that we could get to school in the elementary school level, we're only sending 1 to preschool. So maybe that's one area we need to look at to optimize. In that regard, things to look at could include optimizing preschool placements, right? Now, that is not done. So currently, we've heard stories firsthand from parents some of whom cannot attend the preschool that they've been put into because the hours don't line up with their work schedules, because each preschool offers different aftercare opportunities. So, for example, some preschools have aftercare until 5, other preschools 5:30, others at 6. So depending on work schedule, some people are not even able to take advantage of the district's preschool offering. Now, talk about, bridging the gap in academics and starting early. Studies have shown preschool is where the difference to access matters, right? So that transportation is one area to look at. Some other things that our slate also wants to look at, and I'll pass it off to my co-candidates as well. Some of the other things we want to look at also include multi-year budgeting, right, which is not something that the district has traditionally done. Up until recently, the district relied on paper budgeting. Each school was not doing its budget independently. Rather, the district was doing budget as a whole. That has recently transitioned, and now each principal is responsible for managing their budget. I've taken up airtime, so I want to pass it off to others as well.
Okay, Ashley.
I think it's also safe to say that from our time on the Budget Advisory Committee, it was eye-opening because we also found that they did not have a budget for that current year. So while Bing was a brand new superintendent, he also had to, in the middle of the year, piece together a budget that he had no background for, right? So as he's having these conversations with the community, telling people about the budget, you also had to keep in mind that he's doing it for the first time for us and trying to put it all together too. So when looking at the budget and like where to cut, it is going to be difficult, and it's not. Basically, our slate is saying that we would like to keep the kids in mind. Keep the kids at the forefront of our mind. That's who, when we're making a decision, who we're going to be thinking about. We're not going to be thinking about ourselves, our own agendas that we have in the background. We're going to be thinking about what is the best for our children to get ahead. So that's something that we also, take with us. I think we were talking about partnerships. Part of our slogan, partnerships, is Ashwat mentioned CTE and ensuring that our kids are ready for the real world. And if they don't want to go to college, if college is not their thing, that's great. We need to find other ways to engage them. And CTE is a great way to bridge that gap. And CTE, we could partner with unions, we could partner with local community members, we could partner with businesses to figure out a way ahead. And that's not going to be too budget, like pulling our budget away from us, right?
Actually, I know what CTE is, but if you could tell people who are listening who might not understand what CTE stands for, I'm assuming it's career
technical education. Yes. Yeah. I was like, don't put me on the spot.
Sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot. Sorry.
That's Ian the professor right there.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't. No one told me there was a test.
Right.
I'm sorry.
To Ashley's point, this is a incredibly rich and incredibly diverse community, including in the variety of professions that the community members are in. Right. I'm a lawyer. My wife's an artist. Dan's an engineer, and we. As part of our platform, we also want to encourage finding public-private partnerships so that we can leverage this rich and diverse community in trying to offer more for our students in a more budget-friendly, financially responsible, and sustainable way.
Yeah, and we can't have a situation like we did a couple of years ago where the business administrator came to the board and said, guess what? We have to lay off 28 staff and teacher positions because we're multi-million dollars in the hole. It was catastrophic. Yeah. And so, in years since, we've been pulling money from our maintenance reserves to fill the budget gap every year. And I think at the last board meeting, Mr. Bing mentioned that our maintenance reserves have gone from about $33 million down to $14 million. So that pool of money is not going to be there to keep doing. And at the same time, it means that we're not doing the maintenance on our very old physical plant, and facilities that, Columbia High School is the oldest high school building in the state of New Jersey. Things that need to be fixed, are more complicated than they might be in newer buildings, but also it's hard for the students to feel safe and secure at school if a ceiling tile, it might fall on their heads when they're in an auditorium. So we can't keep kicking the can down the road on maintaining our facilities. So that's a big part of what we want to make sure we do is make sure we get, any maintenance that is long overdue taken care of. We have this new updated long-range facilities plan that was submitted to the Department of Education. The price tag was a big number. I think a lot of people got stuck on $423 million for projects at all the different schools. But as Mr. Bing said repeatedly, doesn't mean we're going to spend all of that money. It's just identifying this is our roadmap for what needs to be taken care of. For me, I didn't really get in my professional background, but I work for a pharma company. I'm a quality engineer in research and development. I do a lot of, FDA compliance, standard operating procedure review and revision. And one of the things in quality engineering is the principle of continuous improvement. You can always be working to make something a little bit better. And so I think that really ties into the budget here because we're not going to solve this in 1 year. We're not going to get out of $10.5 million structural deficit in 1 year. But if we start making smart decisions and improvements bit by bit, we can start narrowing that down and get back on the solid financial footing we used to be in.
So you're not saying basically, vote for us and we'll fix that budget for year one, right?
No, we are not saying that at all.
Yeah. No, why are we so in the hole? Is there a specific? I mean, the III, okay, which we were just briefly talking about, it's in year 5. Has that been a big reason why we're struggling the way we are? Is it? Is it? And what's your thoughts on III? I mean, obviously, I guess it's not going anywhere. You want to talk a little bit about that because I know that's a big talking point.
I'm going to go back to your budget question. So, is there any one thing? No. I think it's been a bunch of different decisions that have come down the line that really just have added up. And it's just that we spend more than we take in.
Yep.
That's basically what it is. I mean, just like any other budget where somebody's in the hole.
And I'm just going to chime in to also add that, to give some examples of what those systematic issues have been. For example, the district was doing its entire budget on paper. So if you come in on July 1st and you say, hey, where does the revenue stand? Where do the expenses stand? And how are we looking? There was no answer, right? If you go to a principal and said, hey, what supplies do you need over the next month? How much money has been allocated and how much more money do you need? There was no answer, right?
Yeah.
There were no multi-year budgets. Right, you're only budgeting for 1 year at a time. So I think, and then there were some other decisions made by superintendents in the past and boards in the past that have complicated the issues. Further combined with the fact that, as Dan mentioned, Columbia High School is the oldest high school in the state. The other buildings that the district has are also very old buildings, and all of those buildings come with their own set of challenges, which have further been exacerbated by the inflation we've seen recently, particularly post-pandemic.
Right. Inflation is a problem too.
Yeah.
So insurance costs have gone up, and we're talking about health insurance costs. Yes. So
for state employees, health insurance is going up between 30 and 35%.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I don't think it's any one thing. It's
okay. Yeah, it's
been a grouping of things.
Right. There's a lot of little things that became one big thing. Yeah, that's basically what's happened. And
but as far as the III, I want to be very clear to any listeners that we support the III.
Okay.
We want it to succeed, and we know that there are changes that need to be made in order to make it work better for more families.
Yep.
Because right now, as we talked with the transportation, a lot of families are dissatisfied. And that's not what we need. We know data shows that kids who are in integrated schools and integrated classrooms with students from diverse backgrounds do better. We want that. But, we need to do things to make life easier for our families. We have, as Ashwat mentioned, such a wide range of diversity in our community. So you have single parents, you have parents who work multiple jobs, you have people who don't have cars. people who can't afford before and after care, people who don't qualify for a bus and have one of those other things. So you have all of these factors that I think, there's when you put any big policy into play, there are unintended consequences that result. And how you respond to those unintended consequences has a big impact.
Sure.
And so, something that the current board did in August was they revised a transfer policy, and they expanded the types of hardships that could be considered for students placed via the integration initiative to be able to transfer. There's now a tier 1 and a tier 2. Tier 1 is things, catastrophic things like your house burns down, you have a death in the family, something like that. Tier 2 is things that are not catastrophic, but they're still hardships. If you have a job in New York City that you need to be in the office by 9 a.m., but your kid's school starts at 8:53 and you can't afford after or before care or get a bus, that's a big problem. It's not inconvenient. It's a hardship. If you lose your job, that's a big problem. So if you can find another family in a socioeconomic tier that's the same as yours from an 8 o'clock school and switch, why wouldn't we help those families?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So basically, I think most people understand what the triple I, basically the idea is, but you're trying to mirror the schools in economically, so all the kids kind of, you get the kid who comes from a wealthier family, a kid who comes from a less wealthy family, and the schools mirror each other, and that improves, every child has the same opportunity.
Yes.
And, in theory, it's a brilliant idea, but as you said, this is a commuter town. I mean, people are running for trains. And not all of us have jobs locally. We get in our car. You miss that train, like you said, that's it. You're done. You're missing work, late for work. So it's we have to think about parents, and that's a great idea. I love that idea where maybe, hey, I got to be on the 8:15 train. Can I go to this school? You go to that school, and yeah. What do you think of that, Ian? I think that's.
I like it.
I like it too. Now, by the way, for everyone out there, we are there are. I'm going to count right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, Ian, in here. So, and we have 3 mics. So if you hear a mic drop off, it's just because.
Sorry, I've got to remember to get closer to the mic. I told these guys before we started, speak into the mic, and I'm not doing it myself.
Yeah, we're sharing mics. Yeah, the mic's over like on Ian's ear, because he's sharing it, and he's busy looking at me talking. But but anyway, that's why we apologize for that. But guys. You guys are really prepared. You really seem like you're on top of this, what you want to do, if elected. I guess, what is the, I guess my next question to you is the candidates, Deval Wilson, Regina Eckert, and Bill Gifford. Those are the 3 seats that are opening up. Are you friendly with anybody currently on the board? Do you have a relationship with anybody that that you would be working with? Or would this kind of be like a new venture in the people that are current board members? Just curious, like what kind of camaraderie or chemistry you feel you would bring.
Yeah, actually, Bill Gifford and my kids go to school together, and we're in pre-K together. Since pre-K, they've been together. But as you note, he's going to be stepping off. That said, I know some of the other folks. As Dan mentioned, each of us have met with all the current board members who will be staying on because we thought it was at a minimum an educational exercise. Yep. And I think what's also worth noting is or noting again is I'm an attorney. In my daily practice, am used to looking at large amounts of information, distilling that information, and helping my clients make tough decisions and advocating for my clients. And I understand and have a lot of experience working with a whole variety of folks with different backgrounds and with different perspectives and different desired outcomes.
Okay.
And I will add to that. So. Also being an attorney, let me just put that in there. No, so I deal with a lot of mediations, arbitrations, and the union. So I'm quite frequently placed in the middle of reaching across the aisle to try to get us to a solution. So I don't find any discomfort with working with people who have differing opinions than me. I mean, we just so happen to align, but if we did not, I don't see that there would be any reason as to why we couldn't come to a conclusion or something that would benefit all of us.
The mediator in the room loves hearing that.
And I'll just say,
law and mediation, by the way.
gotta hit the sponsor.
That's right.
No, I'll just say, with my involvement in the BBK campaign last year, I had known Jeff Bennett for a while. I very much appreciated his approach with data.
Yes.
I am very much a data person myself. Hearing him, present all of this information is wonderful. Like, it's great that he's on the board.
Yes.
And Deirdre, has her day job is somewhat similar to what I do. At very, reviewing for compliance reasons, procedures and things like that.
Policy driven.
Yes. So, I see a lot of myself in how she is. So I got and Bimmel is great also. I love sports. He's a sports guy. It's easy match there. But,
Right, you got something to talk about.
yeah, but I also want to call out Nubia specifically as president this year, because if it wasn't for her being able to get control of the board and the way that board members act in public, because if you recall in recent years, it hasn't always been very professional all the time.
There's been some fighting.
And
In a lot of years, not just recently.
sure. I mean, yeah. So I've said many times, if it was still this environment of recent years, I wouldn't be here right now because I wouldn't want a part of that. But however, she found a way to get everyone acting like adults and setting a proper example for the students in our community where they don't always agree. No one's going, no board is going to agree all the time, but they're not airing their disagreements in a nasty way in public. And I think that's really commendable because, for a while it was kind of like, oh, did you see what the board did this time? This meeting went till midnight. And so
the temperature's definitely down.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I really respect how she, her leadership there. And then, I don't know Bill as well as Ashwat, but I will say, Regina, I appreciate her very precise approach to anything, on the board, having now attended many board meetings and seeing the way that she approaches, any topic up for discussion. It's very clear that she has always taken a very thoughtful and considered approach to any topic, and so I really appreciate that as well. It is unfortunate that we won't be able to serve on the board if elected with the three that are rolling off, because I think they've all been very great.
Three key important.
And so here's a fun fact. So Bill Gifford actually ran for the school board, I think when he was 19 years old, when he graduated from Columbia High School, and he ran with Chigozie Onyema, who is now running for the assembly in this district. So just like a fun fact for people.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bill lost when he was 19, right? And but you see, guys, if you lose, just I ran for
20 years.
I ran for township committee.
He came back.
I ran for township committee. I lost. I never came back. But
I ran
Bill.
for township committee and lost too.
You did, yeah. But you won also. Yeah.
Yes.
But, now talking about sports, Dan, are you a Yankee fan?
No, I grew up outside of Philadelphia and have maintained those loyalties.
Okay, Phillies.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. And I don't think anyone should have a problem with that.
Philly and New York have traditionally been very friendly with each other.
That's right. But the Mets, fans, but they're mad anyway. They're probably not even going to come out and vote. They're all
And it doesn't
sulking.
impact any decisions he would make as a member of the school board.
That's right. Yes. But sports. Let's talk about sports. Let's talk about arts. Where do you guys stand on that? I know there's, we talked about the fields a little bit, but arts especially, there've been cuts, and it's. I think it's tragic when they have to do that. But where do we stand on sports and arts and and so forth?
So obviously we talked about the turf already.
Mm-hmm.
Like essentially, students in all these different areas that we offer need to have the facilities, the materials that they need to succeed in those areas. And so, the fact that, again, this goes back to when all the teachers' positions were laid off, they also cut all of these, educational supplies by 35%.
Yeah.
And, we're fortunate in that we have certain foundations like Achieve and the Music, Arts, and Education Project that are able to raise funds from the community and get supplies to our students. But it shouldn't have to come down to that. Like, it is essential, especially in this day and age, where you have the rise of AI and doing things and removing some jobs that are can now be done by a computer more easily than a person. We need to be developing our students, especially at the high school level, in ways where they can work with AI, but also that we can develop creativity and critical thinking and things that an AI cannot do. And so that's what makes things outside of the core classes so crucial to fund and so the arts, film, photography, theater, sports, like anywhere, and the career and technical education as well, and also special services. That's all this, one and the same thing. Like these are all the things that our students need in order to become the best version of themselves, whatever they choose to do. And so we need to ensure that there is funding in those areas, and that we don't cut, because then you start cutting the bone, and that's
I mean, again, it goes back to, we talk about the budget. I mean, there's things need to be cut, but I know the arts. I know when the year I was working at Marshall, the teachers were, the art teacher was biting her fingernails, and when she'd been there.
That's always one of the first places that people are going to think about when it comes time to make cuts. Again, anybody who's running for school board deserves a lot of credit because it is the most thankless job in town, and there's a lot of thankless jobs in these two towns. And being on the school board is the least or the most thankless job that there is, right? And I think, Ashwat, as you said earlier, there's going to have to be some hard decisions that are going to be made, right? And and that's why this is such a thankless job, because at the same time, people don't want any cuts to any programming.
Right.
People don't want their school district to be $10 million short.
And they don't want to pay more taxes. They don't want to pay more taxes too.
That need to be made.
Yep. So we just got a couple more minutes. So guys, we've learned so much about you professionally. We learned so much about what you're going to do. If elected, what are some of your hobbies? I know you're a Phillies fan. Baseball.
You're not going to have any more free time if you're on the school board.
UConn basketball. Is there a passion of yours when marathoning? I know that is got to be.
Well, I'm older, much older now than when I ran the marathon, so that's sort of off the table. But I do still like to run. I run on Brookside on the weekends, on Sunday in particular, when they, close that, or go for runs in the reservation, which is also a nice stress relief. I try to play golf, but I'm horrible at it. So we'll see how long I can continue with my mediocrity in that regard.
Yep.
I have 3 kids, so I don't have much free time.
And a full-time job.
And a full-time job. So I actually, this is kind of ridiculous. We are the cheer coach to my 7-year-old daughter's cheer team, and everybody's like, "Do you have experience?" I'm like, "No."
It's
a new experience for all of us.
Yeah, this is a pom-pom, and right.
And my husband's really big into football, so my son plays Gaelic football. Like we are. Wow. We're pretty into sports and, dance, all of it. So we are out there.
Yeah, awesome. You guys seem like you've become friends, even though you just met recently for this campaign. But it seems like you guys really enjoy each other's company.
Yeah,
so.
it's good. Yeah. I'm also on the PTA. I don't think I mentioned that earlier.
Okay.
It's the technology chair, very behind the scenes kind of thing.
Okay.
But beyond that, I play in the SOMA Sport and Social Softball League.
Okay.
Second year doing that. Last year, my time was cut short because I broke my collarbone bicycling on Brookside Road on one of those Sundays.
Oh, God.
It wasn't Ashwat's fault, though. But, ideally, I like biking. It's just it's a little challenging around our towns here.
Well, if you need an attorney, I know 3. So,
but my kids are, one of my kids is really into art, and one of my other kids changes his mind about what he's into, so right now it's tennis. Again, it's just being able to support whatever it is they want to do and drive them as a taxi wherever they need to go. And
that never ends.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that doesn't. It really doesn't. So, so I guess, Ian, anything,
any parting words that you guys would like to share, before we end?
Closing statement, right?
Just would like to say, I hope everyone has hopefully seen our social media posts. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We have a website, cdrforboe.com. There's lots of great information. We have a very detailed platform on that website that talks about all the other things that we want to do we didn't get a chance to talk about today. Lots of opportunities to get a lawn sign, to volunteer with us.
Come to an event.
Yes. We have a lot of meet and greets coming up with various members of the community. We're very excited to be out and about in the public for the next 4.5 weeks. We've got some debates to do.
So I'm going to give you some political advice, Dan.
Yeah.
You always end by asking for the vote.
He told me that after I lost, by the way.
I was getting towards that.
Sorry.
He goes, "Did you ask for the vote?" No, I didn't ask for the vote. I thought it was pretty, but anyway, true story. True story.
But yes, the 3 of us, I hope, having listened to this, you can hear that we're very passionate and informed about the top issues of what's going on in our community, and we really hope that you will vote spots 4, 5, and 6, 4E, 5E, and 6E on the back of your ballot. Make sure you flip your ballot over. A lot of people just do the front side, don't do the back. It's on the back side.
Very important point.
Yes,
Because last year, a lot of people did not vote for school board because they didn't realize it was the same ballot.
Yeah,
So
I've looked at the data, and there are a lot of undervotes for Board of Education compared to the top of the ticket.
All right, so everybody got to vote. Got to vote for the Board of Ed. Really, really important. A lot of important issues. Now, I know I speak for Madhu Pai when I say the 4 of you have beautiful speaking voices. All 4 of you. So if you're
thank you, Madhu.
That's right. Yeah. So if you're voting for someone with a lovely speaking voice, I guess as Madhu might say, there's 4 people there that have that, and I don't. I'm not one of them apparently.
But you're very funny.
Well, did she say funny? Yeah, I guess she did say a little funny. Yeah, she said
you're
funny and
nice.
but then there was the but Ian has a beautiful. But anyway, we'll get into that on the next Lee and Ian
Nice is
podcast.
like you're so nice.
Yeah, no, yes, I'm very nice. Yes, but anyway, guys. All right, so. Thank you so much for coming in
Thank you
again.
guys for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, remember,
Thank you for having us.
You absolutely, guys. So just remember, everyone out there, if you're curious about who we just interviewed, that's Daniel Caplan, Ashley, Ludovicy-Donahue, and Ashwat
Tell them
Rishi.
your website one more time.
And
too.
your website,
Yes,
please.
The website again is CDR for Caplan Donahue Rishi, CDR for BOE.com.
There we go.
All right, and there we go. And you're on Facebook and you're on Instagram, and we're all good. Information is available.
There we go.
All right, guys. All right, so Ian.
Thank you. This is great having you guys. We really appreciate you being here.
It was.
Yeah, thank you for a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Until we do it again. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.